What music does to us hasn't changed for thousands of years.
Having a recognisable jingle makes your advertising 850%
Really?
more recognisable.
You know, it isn't a bullshit thing of going, hey, if your brand was this, you're not, it's not lip service. You are actually genuinely going away and going, they all said George Clooney, so what does he sound like?
Seeing a logo is as nothing in terms of brand recognition. I mean, literally as nothing compared to hearing a piece of audio branding.
Welcome back to Advertising Amplified, the podcast from Radio Centre that helps you harness the power of radio and audio advertising to boost the impact of your marketing campaigns. With some amazing industry experts, we cover everything from the power of emotion to using multi-platform audio, all to help you connect directly with your audience and amplify your campaign's impact. I'm Omar Oakes, and today we're talking about something that's been a secret weapon in advertising for decades: music. Music is one of the most powerful creative tools in advertising, but not always one of the most well understood. Radio Centre's Strike a Chord research shows that while agencies and brands recognise music's potential, they often lack a clear framework for using it effectively. So today, we'll dig into why music matters, how it works both rationally and emotionally, and how advertisers can harness it more strategically. With me are Al Young, Chief Creative Officer at the ad agency St. Luke's, and Dan McGrath, Creative Director at Bounce UK and a music composer. So, hi Al and Dan, welcome for coming today. I want to talk about a range of things that will not just appeal to advertisers, but frankly anyone who's interested in creativity and audio, and how technology blends with that going forward, why music matters, where creativity meets craft, how you build something distinctive, and music across media and how we kind of amplify the effectiveness of that. Let me start with you, Al. Why does music matter so much in advertising? How has it changed? And do you think brands should be paying more attention to it?
You called it a secret weapon earlier on, Omar. I mean, we all know music, don't we? But there's some kind of weird reluctance to use it when we know it's so powerful. I mean, when I'm trying to explain the importance of it to clients, I'll talk about it from an anthropological perspective because, Omar, Dan, Al, these are all sonic logos, aren't they? Literally for millions of years before we had any kind of visual representation of how to navigate our world, we did so through sound. And also, more recently in our development, we use music as well to tell stories, to boost religious faith, to keep communities together. We're hardwired to respond to music. It enters our memory system like nothing else.
So the brands that you work for example, what seems to be the disconnect?
I'm not sure if it's always the clients. The clients sometimes need persuasion. Jingles, for instance. I'm a huge fan of Jingles. So at work we have Tyrrell's crisps, right? Nobody knew how to pronounce Tyrrell's, so the end line is terribly, terribly tasty. They had these sort of old-fashioned vintage photographs in all the packs, but that's now become a sonic.
Bring out a bowl full of something terribly, terribly tasty.
And those things are just so helpful because they're earworms. And so once the clients can see the impact of it, they believe. But I think a lot of creative people look down on Jingles.
One of the layers to this potentially is cost. Some clients just look and think music's just too expensive, so it does get pushed back down the line when one's looking at a TV show or a campaign or anything like that. As the budget is spread out, music is a very expensive part of that, that story half the time, and probably rightly so.
Who's talking about the music dividend? We need to sort of stop that thing about the cost of music.
Absolutely. And
start seeing it as an investment, seeing it as a thing that pays dividends over and over again. And I know on the show, Omar, you said, don't talk about the data points. I can do that. I love the data points. I use them to flog them to clients all the time.
Yeah.
According to Ipsos, right, a big ad research company, having a recognisable jingle makes your advertising 850%
really
more recognisable. I mean, imagine having to make your media budget 850% bigger, the expense of that compared to getting a great piece of music that you can apply consistently and build up an emotional connection.
There's a feeling I get a lot of the time that it's a necessary evil. Oh, we need music. It's usually a final thought. So it becomes, strangely, it becomes this sort of thing that, we need that as well. Obviously, as a writer, as a composer, or somebody that makes music, I'd rather, it's the first thing you should think about.
Did you write strictly?
Yes.
Right, because we know, I don't need to hear the words Strictly Come Dancing, I just hear the music, right? The girls are huge fans in the house, and you hear the trails, and instantly you're getting ready to watch it. It's like 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, and like an advert, the brief for that show was exactly that. The theme, when you're briefed for a theme tune for a show like that, or most of the shows that I end up doing, which one of my one of the mothers at my children's school referred to as plinky plonky music. Oh, you're the man that writes plinky plonky music. I said, that's exactly what I do. Happy to go with that. With Strictly, it was exactly that. The brief, okay, this is the show, this is potentially the presenters. You get given the world of the brand, what this thing is going to be. And we went away and created our pitch for that sonic. One of the things that was levelled at us was, if a viewer's in the kitchen, they're not in the room, what do they hear? What's going to get them in? What is that sonic identity?
It's going to take them to the place emotionally to key them to watch
Exactly. And Tony Hatch, who is one of the granddaddies of writing TV themes, referred to the opening of the Strictly theme as a fatal opening. It's just two big stabs. It's on.
Yeah.
We're going. Here we go.
Yeah, so Dan, you, as you mentioned, you're a music composer. You've written for brands. You've written for television shows. What are some examples of brands you've worked on? And you just described the process for when you're commissioned to write a Strictly Come Dancing theme tune. How does that process differ when you're writing for brands?
Through Bounce, we've done sonic identities. Funny enough, we did the Radio Centre sonic identity that you'll hear in and around this show. A fine piece of music. And our job is to make flesh what non-music people articulate to us. You've probably been in that situation as well, obviously doing what you do. So I will be given a set of parameters and go away and go, okay, let's work out what it is and what it isn't as well. A lot of the time it's what it isn't. And it's usually non-musical people that are presenting that to us and going, what is the music? And that's great. That's my job, to make something musical from what they're presenting.
I often say to clients that about the importance of music. The problem with talking about music, it's a bit like dancing about architecture. You can never really capture. But let's just talk about the kinds of emotions that we're trying to get across here. And when you hear them, when you hear the piece that's capturing those three emotional prompts, then you'll understand. You won't be able to articulate why it's right. You'll just know in your heart.
Well, it does seem like the jingle had gone out of favour for a time. But it's interesting, Dan, when you talk about the work that you do with Bounce through sonic branding. Explain to me what the fundamental differences are between sonic brandings and jingles. Because to me, as a layman in the ad industry, they feel like they're very similar things.
I guess when you get down to the actual nuts and bolts of what the elements that one takes out of a suite of music and audio that you might create for a brand or a client, there will be a sonic in inverted commas that might only be 3 notes, but we'll usually find that from the bigger picture, the bigger world of music anyway. So, but I think jingles such a horrible word. I mean, I love jingles. I'm a massive jingle fan, but to say, because it's the same thing. If there are famous jingles from famous radio shows, and when you hear them now, you go, well, that's that radio show, and that was that moment, that was that mechanic.
I think we call them jingles. You said plinky plonky music. When it goes on, we do it because we resent the power that they have.
Probably. Yes. When
we did the Ocado, they were targeting parents of young children. So we actually made a kind of Postman Pat-esque song.
Yes.
Really, really childish, but charming, but also very annoying for people because it was such a powerful earworm. Richard Osman tweeted about it twice. And the first one was great, which is, he said, I have the entire history of recorded music at my fingertips, but the only thing running around my brain is there's an Ocado just for you. and we hate it. Hang on a minute. A handful of Smarties goes a long, long way. Combination of colours to chase the blues away. It's a milk chocolate party and the band begins to play. That was recorded when I was a really little kid, and I can still remember most of the lyrics. I can do all the lyrics to the Finger of Fudge song.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it's in there. It's in there, and it ain't coming out.
Yeah.
And we don't like. There's a side of me that likes it, 'cause I like advertising. But if you don't like advertising, you're thinking about fingers of fudge. You're going to be hostile towards it. You're going to diminish the power of it. It's going to put people off from making these incredibly powerful,
absolutely
lifetime memory devices.
I had an interesting conversation recently with somebody about what makes something memorable. And if I keep repeating something, it's going to go in, like you say, the anti-jingle, like shake and vac or something like that, it's so irritating. But if you hear it enough times that
I can sing that too.
And it's the bouncing ball. It's the bouncing ball, isn't it? But it's a great bit of music.
But even things that are abjectly crap music, like auto glass repair.
Oh, genius. Genius. I was going to say that.
I couldn't for the life of me draw you the auto glass logo.
No.
But I can do that.
No, I think it's red and yellow. I think it is red and yellow. But it's true.
Yeah.
It's we buy any car, dun, 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 bang, bang. It's, who wants to be a millionaire?
Yes.
It's genius.
I apologise to the listener who's being barrage of earworms of all sorts.
Yes.
Is that the real secret? For good or bad, it has to be earwormy. We don't just want something to be memorable, do we? If you're a brand, you want it to be something that's going to last beyond a single campaign. Is there a particular formula for doing that?
It's a hard one. Obviously, if you musically keep it, I want to say simple, but you make your basic tune or sonic such that you can change the style of it easily is one of the things, is take it in various directions.
What we were describing there is playing with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And everyone knows that you're playing. Maybe it's just that I'm an older guy now, but we live in times of blistering change. And to hear something consistent and familiar, like I mentioned the 20th Century Fox search, the music before.
Yeah.
And I just don't want it to change. I want it to set me up to make a great movie. There's been lots of uncommon and some fantastic ads for British Airways, but just to discard the flower sellers entirely,
yes.
And flying in airports, places of stress and concern, and to have something that makes you feel like you're floating on a kind of cloud made of marshmallows.
Yes,
it just couldn't be any better, could it? Why would you discard that? Advertising is more consumed more and more discreetly, isn't it? We're all in our own separate little media bubbles. But at times of collective consumption, right, we all want to hear the music, whether it be on an ad or be on a show. It gets us into the right kind of mental frame to absorb that content. We kind of know what's coming, but not exactly. Yeah. But let's just get into that space.
Yeah.
And that again's a music dividend. Go invest. It's not an expense. It's an investment.
How do you bridge that gap between that creative instincts, which we've talked a lot about now, and that need for the client to have clarity about why it matters, how it's going to make me more money through my marketing? We've got tools like Radio Centre's Brand Music Navigator, for example. How are those tools useful in kind of selling that opportunity?
I'm glad you have the Navigator, because when people are scared, that they live in their left brain and all they're thinking about is data points and proving it and surviving, and it's the seat of kind of fear, really. The right brain is where we experience everything. And by doing that Navigator tool, that way you're kind of doing what I think a lot of good creative salespeople will do, which is just try and I can see you're freaking out. Let's just try and break it down into what you want people to think and what we need to feel, right? Let's agree those things. We can objectively and rationally agree those points without hearing a single thing. And then what we can do is we can approach a number of people, like Dan or in Dan's business, and they'll interpret that their own way. They'll put together a selection of demos for us. They might source some existing material. If we're really skint, they might come up with some appropriate library tracks. But then we can just say, okay, here are the words. Now let's just feel our way through these things.
We mentioned the striker chord research before. We can talk about neuroscience, where it shows consistent music triggered 23% more engagement than no music, 41% more than one-off tracks. Dan, I'm sure you're nodding your head. That sounds familiar to you. How do you approach composing when you're working with a brand team who sounds like a lot of the case, they might not have the right vocabulary to kind of brief you on what the right musical appreciation is. How do you work with them?
What we generally do is sit everybody down in a room. If we're trying to come up with a sonic ID, when we work with Radio Centre, we sat with George and the team and we said, if your brand was a celebrity, if your brand was a car, if it was a colour, connecting what we hopefully will bring to the music with things that people can understand. And, so if it's a celebrity, that celebrity is going to denote a certain style of music or a certain route to go down. So it's exactly that. It's trying to talk about music in a way that's not musical.
Yeah, and what's smart about that approach is clients do have a really good understanding of the kind of values and themes and emotions they want around that brand. They've thought very, very hard about it. And when you can simplify it and break it down into units, and then when the potential answers come back, they can then they can process it in a kind of modular way.
Yeah.
Imagine they're there with a click box, with a little tick box, and they can go through. Is it doing the drama, the awe, and the tenderness?
Yes, exactly. Also, there's some ownership there, which is good.
Equity.
There's some ownership for the for the client, because they feel, those are all the things that we threw in, and they've and it has affected the bit of music that's been created, which of course you want. It isn't a bullshit thing of going, hey, if your brand was this, you're not. It's not lip service. You are actually genuinely going away and going, they all said George Clooney, so what does he sound like?
Yeah.
It's that. It could be that.
And a lot of American clients say, yeah, I stimulated that, which is a great phrase. But
absolutely,
it means it's theirs.
Ownership. Yeah,
and if it's theirs, they're going to value it.
And one of the big things with in the ad world is the discovery. One of the big things at the moment is discovery of new artists. Lots of brands, I think, trying to have A&R people go out, and their people go out and find, or use sync agencies or music supervisors to find new tunes, new audio, new music. And that's obviously their brand obviously is looking for that. They want ownership of it. We found that it's something you did, it's almost like creating their own piece of music, but it's a commercial track that's already out there, And that's another thing. So it's that thing of, well, we found that, it's ours. It's now our bit of music. I mean, that's the other thing that you find is songs that then the Pavlovian response to a song is purely a brand and nothing other than that, and the artists hate it.
Yeah.
The artists who signed, who licensed their piece of music to something, I hate the fact that my piece of music is now that.
Now means Cheetos.
Exactly. But it's like, but I'm sure they don't mind when the PRS checks come in. But it's interesting that thing of brands wanting ownership of the music, wanting to say, well, it is in our fabric. It's our fabric now, which is fine,
Yeah.
Ears are great, aren't they? One on each side of your head for stereo. It's because of ears that radio ads can amplify your advertising. 40 million adults listen to commercial radio every week. That's 80 million ears, give or take. See radio differently at radiocentre.org.
So, let's talk about how music, whether it's sonic branding or other forms of audio advertising techniques, how that lives across different platforms. I think we saw in the research that allocating 20% of spend to radio already boosts ROI by 8%. But if you combine radio with consistent brand music, it delivers an even stronger multiplier effect. Al, do you see music playing a different role in, we talked about TV. Do you see music playing a different role in TV and digital versus just radio campaigns?
I always want to have a piece of music that can maybe last 3 minutes long, ideally, because then you can put it against all kinds of things. Let's
like
say
a hero.
Let's say there's some kind of,
exactly.
Let's say there's some kind of how-to video that's needed, or some kind of employee induction moment that's required. You want the longest form possible that can then be reduced down to a 3-second sting. You spoke about this, Dan, a moment ago. You want to try and find the sting, the audio identity, through the bigger piece of music that you have. Music, because it takes you to the place immediately that you want the minds of the listener to go to. You want to be as consistent across every if you've got a powerful piece of music, use it and use it and use it and use it. It might be making your nose bleed, how much you're hearing it, but those people out there, they may hear 50 seconds of it in a quarter of a year.
Yeah. Keep the music coming. Keep using the music. Keep hitting people over there because they're not anywhere near as tired of it as you are.
Stop your pride effing with your mind. Just stick with it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
So sometimes it can just be the audio signature existing on its own afterwards. You think ba 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 from a top. Of course, that was a Justin Timberlake song in the 1990s.
Was it real? I didn't know that.
Full track.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Full track. But then you just get it's just reduced down to the little whistle at the end.
Yeah.
There's still the emotional memory of the Timberlake song comes with it.
Right.
So within that little kernel at the end is all the joy of hearing the track in 1990 whatever, you know. I think clients have to stop about thinking it as music, as an add-on, as an accompaniment. We'll start thinking about it as identity. The amount of agonising about the placement of logos, the size of logos, the style of logos, the redesigns of logos, when we know that seeing a logo is as nothing in terms of brand recognition. I mean, literally as nothing compared to hearing a piece of audio branding.
Famous stories of Lambunen charging tens of millions to italicise a logo that I think it was BP they might have done. I can't remember, but the BP logo went away, charged this, and then just italicised the letters. And as you say, who noticed that apart from the people in the meetings? You change a piece of music, you change a sonic. Everybody complains.
Exactly, but I can still hear the music for Castrol GTX.
Right.
another oil company.
Yes.
Still hear it. So it's not an accompaniment that can help branding. It is branding.
Well, you've both argued so passionately for why music needs to be treated as a longer term brand asset, and it feels like in this industry that things only seem to speed up. Al, when you talk to clients, is it harder to make that case for using music, audio assets as a long term?
Should make it stronger for the reasons Dan outlined, because what you have is something modular that can expand and contract according to where it's going to reside. Because as media fragments, you know, it's all about consistency. The more consistent you are, the bigger you look, the more recognisable you become. These are really, really simple rules, really. Consistency is awareness. If you think about, I haven't seen any Intel advertising in a while, but...
Yes,
What the hell happened before that?
But I wonder whether
what happened before that moment.
But I was thinking about this about the anti-jingle. You know, the whole point of doing things that are annoying, and one wonders whether, as you say, the do 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 dung, it's just do it. You know, let's do it. This is in a way. It's the juxtaposition of whatever's happened before. Don't forget, here's the brand.
What Intel did was something brilliant because it was a microprocessor inside Dell or whatever. Yeah, you know, you'd have the advert for Dell, then you'd have, but Intel would completely blast everything away.
Intel inside.
Because it was so kind of aggressive.
Yes.
Again, this is kind of why I always think the jingles, you know, sonic mnemonics should come from something bigger.
I've resisted the urge to ask you about the power of AI to transform everything that we're doing. Listeners can check out our previous episode about AI where we get into that in depth, let me assure you. But Dan, you must be using AI in some capability for music production, creation. AI is clearly capable of generating music. What does that mean for you going forward as a composer?
I've absolutely used AI vocals to back me up to get some other layers in there that aren't just all me if I'm working alone. What I usually do, if I've ever done that, is I'll either use it and then strip it out, or I'll use it and, you know, it'll never be in the forefront. I did a talk for Next Radio, and it was about 10 years ago, and it was exactly about this. Sony at the time had a thing called Flow Machines, and it had written a song called Daddy's Car. They'd fed in the Beatles, and it had spewed out this song called Daddy's Car. You can find it online. We're now 10 years on from there, and we are way beyond that. Yeah. I created a piece of music. I'm currently doing some stuff for a Sky show where I'm writing guest-specific jingles for guests that are on a panel show, and they want me to write jingles for these people so they can come on, hey, it's da-da-da-da, whatever. I thought, how am I going to go on to, I'm not going to say the name of it, but the app's on my phone. I was sitting on the toilet. I'd done Wordle, and I went, right, and I typed in the details of this thing. I typed in the title of it, and I put in country and western or whatever. Took this thing about 12 seconds, 30 seconds. It was very, very good. It was very,
uncanny.
Very good. It was very, very good. Yeah. You can tell it isn't a human.
Yeah.
There's still that kind of thing to it. There's an element, there's an edge, but the average person is not going to be able to tell very long. So I think it's coming. for composers, obviously. What I do, and certainly the style of music that I write, is in peril. I've always said to both my children who are in their 20s now, you must look for the opportunities in all this sort of stuff. Do not be a doomsayer. Do not go into meetings and go, it's all over, it's a nightmare. I've never done that. Look for the opportunities. Wherever the opportunities are, you grab them and you start running with them fast. But it's going to change. Production music, wallpaper music that's in the back of your Simon Reeves Ocean thingy stuff and Married at First Sight, that is also going to change. It's all going to get written by computers. I'll say one other thing, then you can jump in, Al. It's the court cases that are going to define how AI is going to go forward, because what's going to happen is somebody is going to stand up and say, I wrote a TV theme for a TV show called Strictly Come Dancing, or whoever it is in the future. Your piece of music sounds incredibly very similar to that. In fact, there's actually a vocal in there that sounds like it's been taken. And this is when the big people, the brands, the broadcasters, everybody's going to go, hold on a minute. We better just stop here quickly. With all this, it's coming. It's going to happen. It's the Wild West once again, like the internet. It's a huge, we're at that moment again. It's a pivotal moment. And I think, obviously, the lawyers will have something to say that will guide how this is going to carry on.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right from the legal side of things, because it is just a massive, all the LLMs are just massive plagiarism vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's all they are. And immensely valuable to us, I think. We have to see it that way too. It's the cheapest way to make mistakes. It doesn't cost anything. You can make all the mistakes in the world really, really, really quickly. Suck it and see, learn from it. I play with Suno.
Yeah, there's Udio and Suno.
Yeah, I was playing around. I love mucking around with it, because I just said send people silly songs and stuff like that. So it's great fun. But also you can think, all right, what's the thrash metal with bagpipes version of that, please? And off you can go, and you can just keep playing with it. So what you want is all the experimental parts of it that can be spat out super quickly with someone who knows exactly what they're doing and has a brilliant intuition, brilliant kind of emotional kind of sensitivity around it, to then say, right, okay, there's something there, there's something here, now how can we begin to create something that's original from this raw material, this raw AI material.
And I do think people want to work with people. The clients that I work with want to tweak, and they want a human being to come back and go, what is it that's wrong with it? Well, there's this point on screen,
exactly.
and it needs to be tweaked. Now, AI might get there.
It might get there, but it's still a way. It's still a way from this tweaking. But also, it's really important to work with people as well, because often as not, we can become so cemented in our own idea about how things should sound. You need to be saying, well, actually, what if it was the complete opposite?
Which AI won't do
exactly.
unless you prompt it. I had one thought. The visceral connection with music, which is all part of what we're talking about here, that very Pavlovian, the fundamental connection with music we all hopefully have, is something that you can't get rid of that. And I wonder whether, if there was a hit song, it's written by AI, it's entirely done by AI, and a 12-year-old connects with it now, and in 40 years' time is told, do you know what? There were no humans involved in that. It was AI. Do they then entirely disconnect from that piece of music, or do they say, do you know what, I don't really care? At the time, it got to me.
It's resonating.
But music is, generally, if we're talking songs, you're connecting with the person that's writing it. You're with them. What you've made, I hear what you're saying. Your words mean something to me. I also have just broken up with somebody.
Well, I'm going to make my opening pitch for Let's Get Together in 40 years' time with Radio Centre. Let's see if
won't be us to, will it?
I mean, Al, so we started off macro and gone into lots of the micro during this discussion. Let's finally just zoom out. Let's maybe not look at the next 40 years. Let's just look at the next 5 years if we can. For agencies, how do you see music's role in brand building evolving?
I would say stop thinking it as a piece of decoration, a piece of audio decoration to accompany what you're doing. Think about it every bit as hard as you think about your own brand identity. That's how it should evolve, because if you make the investment, the dividends will come. You can't make people do that. I don't know what the future is, but I do know that if you make that investment, you have a much, much brighter future in terms of how well your advertising is recalled and what people think of you and how they recognise you. Brand owners want people to have belief in that brand, and somehow the emotional impact of music does that. It convinces us in a way we can't even express in words. We just feel it.
What music does to us hasn't changed for thousands of years, and it's probably not going to change for thousands of years hence, let alone 40. So there are very fundamental rules that apply here, and they're not changing beyond my death and whatever. And it's probably just tweaking that for the different demographics that you're trying to appeal to and your brand is trying to touch, because they're still going to love music. They're still going to, and also the other thing is that the new demographic, the new audiences are discovering old music because it's available to them. So it's interesting. Old music is not going to go anywhere in the future. You know, heritage music is not going anywhere in the future.
Yeah, especially since all the great bands are selling off their back end catalogues to private equity.
Absolutely. So the licensing and sync of this music, the ad world is going to be full of this stuff.
Yeah, so the Beatles ain't going anywhere. Well, Al, Dan, thanks so much for joining me today. And do, listener, check out Radio Centre's striker chord research. You can find it at radiocentre.org. And there should also be a link in the show notes. This has been Advertising Amplified from Radio Centre. There are more episodes showing you how to harness the power of audio to boost your campaign impact. So do listen to those and hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Until then, I'm Omar Oakes. Thank you so much for listening.